Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local.
Here's the real item. The real item is the story that appeared originally in the Wall Street Journal and then was picked up by other outlets, where some Amazon sellers are offering cash incentives and harassing customers who write negative reviews. So I write a negative review under the guise of a customer service interaction. The company comes back to me and says, "Hey, reviews are important. We want to make it right. We'll give you a refund." And as a kind of quid pro quo for taking down your review. And if you decide you don't want to take down the review, then they follow up and they hassle you. They're not supposed to have your email address, but there are all kinds of companies in the background that are providing that information. And so they essentially stalk you and try and badger you into taking down your reviews, sometimes with payment, sometimes, with just persistent harassment. And it's sort of the flip side to companies offering financial incentives, like, here's your $25 reward, give us a good review. These are pretty insidious and difficult to police situations, and increasingly, the form of review manipulation. They're not fake reviews exactly, but it's review manipulation, which is really an interesting and has
equally deceptive.
It has the same ultimate impact on the consumer, because you're looking at all these positive reviews, but what you're not seeing is the reviews that have been removed, which may illustrate the product's flaws or whatever.
I had a lawyer client who, whenever he got a bad review, he'd call them up and offer them $100 to take it down.
And did they take it down?
Most all the time. And then finally I said, look, you don't want to be at 5.0. You're better off having some negatives. The people with the most sales are, 4 to 4 or 5. So he left a few of them up.
Yeah, exactly. That's a totally different argument than the ethical argument, right? That's a tactical argument.
But I was losing on the ethical argument. It's like, this guy had gotten A's his whole life. I imagine his mother was squawking at him his whole life about getting A's, and he got A's through law school, and he was going to get A's on his reviews. That was the end of the story. It's like, geez.
Well, I mean, it raises in my mind increasingly. I'm sort of writing this. Uberall did this research on fake reviews with what Curtis Boyd. He's now calling himself the Transparency Company, and I'm finally writing the report. And so I'm pretty deep in all these issues. And it just makes me think longer term about the credibility of reviews, just the utility of reviews. And there is growing distrust, but still the brands, Google, Amazon, are highly trusted and highly used by people. People still look at reviews as a primary factor in who they work with. And you did that whole thing with the forklift company. The guy got totally ripped off by fake reviews,
Yes. Well, and for Google, I think they see reviews, they have enough hubris. They think they can remove the noise from the reviews and extract the value of the data, but have very little understanding of the impact of their 20 or 30% fake reviews on the world. It's a similar story.
Well, that
circles back to the first story in a very similar way. Scale, and they'll figure it out after they've got the scale, and they don't really care about the individual story behind it.
So that's not the number we came up with for Google local, for the Google My Business, but it's a conservative number.
So
the one we came
15%,
up with.
10%.
No, it was. I think it's. I have to go back and look at the total. It's something over 11%, but it's a sort of a cautious number.
Probably very category dependent as well, though.
Very category dependent, very locale dependent. I mean, lawyers in Los Angeles.
Precisely. So I'll tell you, pharmacies had the lowest. And the highest, I think, were locksmiths, as you would expect.
Garage door repair.
And moving companies were very high. And Boston came out. I'm revisiting all of this, so I'm speaking sort of loosely here. But Boston, I think, was the most honest city in America, and Miami, St. Petersburg was the most dishonest.
Those are two different cities, Miami and St. Petersburg.
Oh, well, it's a metro area, MSA. It's an MSA.
So Tampa or Miami?
Well, whatever. What is the close city to Miami? I never go to Florida. What is
Miami? Fort Lauderdale, maybe.
Fort Lauderdale is what I meant. It's not St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg is totally somewhere else. Sorry, I apologize to all Floridians. Fort Lauderdale is what I meant. Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Yeah.
But it's funny. It's funny what metro area our former president now resides in is the least honest.
It's
part of America.
Totally appropriate.
Yeah.
It's totally appropriate.
All right. Well, that seems like we've reached the end of that.
So
thread.
we're done. We're out of time. We're out of time. Yes, we're out of time for this week. But thank you, everybody, again for listening and for subscribing to the newsletter. And any final words from you guys?
Just be safe out there.
Stop eating meat and driving gasoline-powered cars.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.